program. All right, so I'm going to go into my acknowledge. Okay. And go ahead. And I can see there that I have 2 service authorizations. I have pending update acknowledgement. That means that this one has previously been acknowledged before, but the service coordinator made a change or an update to the existing service authorization and has resubmitted it for acknowledgement. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go in here. Okay. All right. Now, as I've gotten to talk to, I or Calvin over the past month or so, we preach this like nobody's business. Please, please, please make sure that all of your information through here is as accurate as can be prior to you acknowledging it, okay? Contact your service coordinator if any of this information from here on up, if there's any discrepancies with it, okay? Therap won't be able to help you with this information, so please make sure you contact your service coordinators if you see any errors with the service code, with the rate, with anything that you have questions or issues on. Contact your service coordinator. Okay. Now, normally there is another section down here which y'all haven't seen, but since we had our lovely release over the weekend and went live, they've since swept our system and didn't get our actual testing site mapped back out. But they were busy working on y'all, so that's where I want the attention to be. Now, sitting here would normally be where you would apply the actual service authorization to that program. Now, any information you see in that section, if any of that information is left blank, if it's not mapping correctly, if it says one thing above, in the service authorization information and it doesn't say it below, please contact Therap. Okay. Now, below here, so a couple of things that I've come across in the last few days from individuals is that they accidentally assigned the individual to the wrong program and went ahead and acknowledged that. As soon as you are aware that you applied them to the wrong program, please go down into feedback. Put in the information, as much information as you can, what the program was, what the service was, and where the actual service authorization needs to be placed in the program. We will have to do that on our side of things for right now. So please make sure that if you assign the service authorization into the incorrect program, that you notify Therap under the feedback down here, and they will make that adjustment for you, okay? So Kelly asked, what if the units in the monthly allocation do not add up to the total units shown above? It's an automatic calculation. Kelly, that would be very, very unusual because they do an automatic allocation when they are distributing the units, the service coordinators do. They would have to manually go in there and adjust from month to month. So if you see a discrepancy there, just contact the service coordinator and they can make that adjustment. Oh, it was Ken. I apologize. Seeing lots of names come through my screen right now. All right. Okay, so again, please do not acknowledge the service authorization unless you know it's about as 100% as it can possibly be. So, all right, so we're over on, we've acknowledged our service authorizations. Again, like I said, I'm sure y'all have had tons of practice over the last few days. We're going to actually go over to the billing tab. Now, on the billing tab, you have new and you have search. New is 1 day, search is a date range. The only difference between the two, okay, depending on the the person's super role is what they will see, what the functionality will be within the attendance. All right, so for this, I'm going to go ahead and select new. Is this, we are just going over actually inputting the data. Okay. All right, and again, this is the IBB stuff, so it's a month ahead, so don't get freaked out because this is defaulted to 8/1. And I'm just going to leave it there for right this second. So I'm going to go ahead and select my attendance type. I'm going to select my description code and my program size. Okay. Now, if you're not seeing a service description code, that should be there when you select the applicable service type or the applicable attendance type. If you don't see the applicable program, go back and check that you've acknowledged that service authorization and that it did get applied to the correct program. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into my search. Okay. Now, based on my super role that has been assigned to me by a supervisor or manager or whoever the case may be, is what I'm going to see up here. All right. If you are simply the person inputting the billing data, if you are a centralized individual inputting the billing data, this is most likely what you will see. If you are a direct support staff or your direct support staff, possibly will just see the input and update. Okay. So Susie asked, they have one individual who has 2 service authorizations, one with 0 hours and one with actual hours. When entering in attendance, both instances appear. How do we know which one we are inputting the attendance on? On that one, yeah, that service authorization, if it's for the same, I would verify that it is indeed for the same exact service, and because you shouldn't have received actually 2 service authorization, be able to see 2 at the same time, I would go back and contact your service coordinator and find out what's going on with that service for that individual. And Kelly asked on, they're not seeing their attendance or billing tabs yet. Now you do have to assign those roles, those super roles for those tabs to come up. And I'll go over that just real briefly after we're done inputting in onto the attendance. All right. So I'm in the attendance. I've selected my service. I'm going to go up to my attendance option. Now you will have more than just present there, more than likely. Okay. And this, excuse me. Okay, so what we have been recommending, and I'm just going to, that for the residential, or not just residential, but just the daily increment, even though time in, time out is not required it's not required to actually generate billing data, that we're recommending that so you can compare it to your hourly services as well, so you can make sure that yes, indeed, they did meet at least that minimum of that 4-hour requirement in order to bill for that daily increment. Now I'll go ahead and input the time in, time out in. We'll go ahead. Okay. So I went ahead and input my time in. I can go down and say Mary and Sarah they're both providing the same services at the same time. I can select both their names. I can select all. If the time only applies to one of these individuals, I can select to the left of the one individual. and submit new. All right. So if Sarah has another time for the day, I'm going to go ahead and select my attendance option again and put in the differing time and time out. Okay. Now, if this were an hourly service, we're still recommending that you go ahead and put in real time, because the system is going to automatically calculate the units and round it up to the nearest 15-minute increment. Okay. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and select Sarah for this time and submit new. Now, even from this point, I can sit here and hover over the time, see what was inputted there. I can see this option. So say someone was going back and reviewing this information, it was still in prep, and the in prep status is this blue here. That means it has just been inputted. I can go in and edit the entry from right here. Okay. So if this person was absent, I could select my attendance option for absent and update. All right. Also here you have your Excel report that you can pull up to verify information. Now just give that a second to pull up. Okay, and I'll go ahead and enlarge that. All right, so right here I have my service, my day of service. I have my time in, time out. I have the duration. And I have my unit. If this was just strictly a day, I would have 1 unit. All right. So that's actually the inputting. So whoever is inputting the data period, you're going to go through the process, select the attendance option, select your individual, the time in, time out, and submit. Okay. I do want to go through the search just so you can get an idea of what that looks like as well. Okay. So I'm just going to come back and do a date range through here. Yeah, we can do it just a couple of days. It won't let you do future dates. Again, this is based in the future. This is a month ahead in this system, okay? This Ken asked if the service provider section here was required or if it could be just left on its own. Now, it can just be, it's optional. You don't have to put anything in there if you don't want to. Okay. That's for your benefit. If you want to utilize that for whatever reason, you're more than welcome to. All right. So in the search, if you have the update privilege, it does throw you onto the update tab automatically. Not an issue. Just go ahead and jump back over to the input. Okay. Vicky's, or let's see here. Yeah, Vicky's saying they can't see the same information in the billing text. Vicky, I will go over the super role to make sure you have everything marked that you need to be marked here in just a moment. All right, so right here, this is the date range. So I'm going to go ahead and select my present. I'm going to go ahead and again put in my time in, time out. And we're going to say for these are the times Mary was provided services for these few days. Actually, let's go ahead and make sure we have that as our, at least our 4 hours there. Because we're going to say this is a daily. If it was not otherwise, again, if you just get your staff and have a go ahead and putting in, time out, they won't know not to do it otherwise. All right. So right here, I selected Mary. There's her time in, time out. I'm going to say that wasn't the correct time for the 3rd and submit new. Okay. Now, as you can see, it has the same functionality as the daily input, as the 1 day, or as the new for your 1 day instead of your date range. All right. Okay. Again, as soon as you input any data in, you can pull your Excel report and view that time frame's worth of information. Okay. All right. Any questions on acknowledging or inputting the data at this point? Again, I'm going to go over the super roles here in just a second. Okay. And it's okay if you think of it here in a minute. We're going to go over to the admin tab. And I'm going to go down into my super role and go to manage. Okay, I'm going to select the applicable super role. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this one. All right. Now, you should have at this point in time an attendance option box right here. Okay. On the attendance, this is the input. So this is that initial input that we just did. Okay. If you are a supervisor, if you are the second set of eyes, you'll need the approve and the update. If direct support staff, I recommend doing the view and the submit initially. Otherwise, you're fine with these. Now, if you just have these roles, you're not going to be able to generate billing data. Okay? You have to have this billing data submit over here under the billing section. And please disregard this service authorization information. This is not your service authorizations, okay? The sale has to be in place for the rest of the country. What applies to you is this billing data submit. That's what's going to actually let you generate your billing data, which lets you generate your claims and send them off to the service coordinators for approval. Your billing data update, if you have any errors after you've generated your information. Your billing data view, again, you're just going to be able to view what you've generated and submitted. Your billing summary report, it's just a billing summary report view. So if you have those, you should be able to see whatever you need to see. And make sure after you select those options that you go back, and if you don't have that super role applied to someone, in their user privileges, to make sure you apply that super role. If you're just updating someone's super role, make sure they log out and log back in for those changes to take effect. Now, if you've gone through all of this, applied it to individuals, and you've gone in here and you do not have the billing and you do not have the attendance, please contact Therap, and we'll make sure it gets turned on for you so there's no issues. All right. questions. And again, we did want it to have kind of a topic to review and go over with these webinars, but a lot of this is really so you can input your questions, your concerns, and we can really make it an open forum. We can actually have it as a discussion. And I do have everybody muted because there are quite a few people on there, and there's lots of voices going back and forth. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in. I hope everything is going well for people. Initially, I know it's a little bit of a change for quite a few, but I think it's actually going to work out very, very well. Diane, did you have a question? And this isn't the be-all, end-all as well. Please make sure that you reach out to Therap if you have any questions or any concerns. And just so you're aware as well, you can always come over here to on the bottom of your dashboard and go to Live Help and ask any questions you may have. If they can't address you, they'll reach out to someone that can. All right. Okay, well, if there are no questions or no concerns or issues anyone wants to bring up, I'll go ahead and end the session. Again, this will be put onto the Nebraska page for your review in case you have any questions. Okay, if a person moves to another address and the address is the program, does the same SA, same service code need to be redone? No, that's when I was stating before, if they're in a different program, go ahead and alert Therap and state, hey, as effective this date, this person is now in this program, because we will have to manually change that over. All right, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day and have a wonderful 4th of July.